Welcome to Distill the Bourbon Podcast. We're back in the turret. I'm Brent. I'm here with Chuck and Aaron. That's a great looking shirt there, Aaron.
Great minds think alike.
I'll tell you, Chuck. Okay. And and we have, by popular demand, one of our absolute favorite guests and favorite bourbonites, the Bourbon Rabbi, Chaim Litvin. Great to have you back.
Thanks for having me. Always fun to be here.
Always fun.
So if you've ever heard us on this show before, you know a little something about Bourbon Rabbi. It's one of our favorites. We have some new products to introduce today. And we have what I think is a great lineup here. And you have a little bit of news for us about what's going on with a upcoming holiday. And we'll get into all of that. But first, how about a little toast here, a little drink with the original 115. Tell us about this.
So this is the original. It's the flagship product. This is actually the first time we put this out was pretty close to where we are here in Henderson, out in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, with Casey Jones Distillery. This is now made at my distillery out in Shelbyville, 115 proof. The way we came up with that number is in Hebrew, every letter has a value. So if the first letter, like if A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, so each letter has a value. You get to 10, then you go 20, 30, 40 till 100, 100, 200, 300, 400, then you run out of numbers. But you can build any number from those letters. Mm-hmm. So the word for empowering strength to others, the equivalent, the word is chazak, and the equivalent of that is 115. So I went with 115. Whenever we're having a drink, it should be for good things, for empowering other people, never for negative things. You want to drink yourself into a hole. It says L'chaim responsibly on all the bottles. So it should always be for good things. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
That is a good thing right there. One of my absolute favorites.
I nailed that one.
And for 2 years, it's got so much complexity. What is the mash bill available, or is that something that is...
Mash bill on this is 70-21-9.
Okay.
It's Green River barrels. These barrels, although the bottle still says 2, these bottles are actually a lot closer to 4 now.
Okay.
And the new labels are going to say 4 when the capacity, the barrels meet up with that. There could be some 3s, so we want to make sure that everything hits 4 before we print 4s. And once we know that all the barrels we're going to be choosing from are 4, we'll print those labels, and it'll go out as 4 plus.
Maybe 4, maybe 2. It's too good to me. I just love this. So I know I can get it at Beverage Barn here locally, and I do often.
And all the bottles at Beverage Barn were signed today. So I don't know when this comes out, but hit Beverage Barn. Those bottles are all signed. All the honey bottles, all the 115s. Those were all freshly signed.
Do you still have a internet presence? You can order those?
Yeah, so all 5 of these, the only way to get all 5 of them is actually on the website, shop.bourbonrabbi.com. Currently running a promotion. I don't know when this comes out, but till October 10th, every order placed will get a free bottle of honey, and we'll talk about that honey on our next drink.
Oh, man, that honey is really good. I can't wait to get there.
So they get a free bottle of the bourbon finished in honey? Is that what you said?
The honey finished in bourbon.
Oh, the honey finished in bourbon. Sorry, I want to make sure.
So close. Do you see Aaron's eyes getting big?
Yeah. You're not allowed to give free alcohol. Sorry, it's one of the rules. The feds. I can't do anything about it.
They ruin everything.
Chuck, we've had a few of these bottles. What do you think?
Clearly, this is not a 2-year-old product. This is very, very nice product. And, we have a soft spot for Green River. They provide, they're the source for so much product. I just wonder if you might want to say something about Green River and the quality of their offerings.
So yeah, I chose Green River for my product. Going back almost 5 years ago when I made the decision to put out a product, and they've never. I mean, they make good product.
They sure do.
They make it available to the NDPs, the non-distiller producers. And yeah, no complaints at all. All the barrels I've ever gotten were good. If they weren't exactly right for the 115, they were great for a honey finish or one of our other finishes, a double oak. Double oak now is a much more aged product. It's a 6-year product, but we have very limited amount of those. And again, those are actually only available on the website.
or on my shelf at home.
Mine too.
I got some too.
About that much.
I mean, not to brag, but I got free personal delivery today of another bottle because my first one was just about gone.
It's so good, man.
So this is your bourbon whiskey finished in honey. So tell us about this one.
So the original idea actually was for this to be 115 as well. We were going to do the whole line at 115, but the interaction with that, the sweetness of the honey and the spicy notes with 21% rye, just didn't work well, and we kept knocking it down 110, 105, and at 100 we were like, all right, we like that balance. So this is bottled at 100. The way this is made is we take the barrels from the 115. Once those are processed, we fill it about a third of the way with honey. Honey will eat the wood. The enzymes in the honey will actually eat it. So you can't leave it in there too long in any one place. So we roll that barrel around to the distillery every day and clock it. So first day bung up, and you got that honey sitting in the bottom of in the basin of the barrel. Roll it around, leave it at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, every day at a different position for 30 to 45 days. Pull that honey out. It comes out more of like a syrup consistency because it's bringing out all that liquid that's sitting in the staves of that barrel. Those bottles are now free with any purchase on the website. They're also available to order straight at bourbonrabbi.com/merch. And then we bottle we then fill the barrels back up with a fresh barrel of bourbon, let it sit there for another 30 to 45 days, pull that bourbon out, bring it down to 100 proof, and that's what we have here right now.
It's fantastic. What I love about this, as opposed to some of those other honey, supposedly finished, not real honey, but honey flavored whiskeys that are out there, those just kind of kick you in the face. This is a beautiful, subtle, lovely finish, and it's not over the top.
At this point, I'm taking your word for this.
Would you like a drink?
Yeah, it's about time, right?
Okay. So I just realized that I owe my daughter, Cammie, an apology. I just opened her personally signed bottle that she said she was never going to open or drink ever in her life because it was her favorite gift that I've ever given her. And so now I would like to buy another bottle.
I'm sure we can figure something out. Yeah, they're available signed at Beverage Bar.
Cammie, I'm so sorry.
Can you
it
say
will be
two
personally
Cammie?
signed to you eventually.
To Cammie bottle number 2, so she never forgets that Britt opened.
Because your dad is
we'll
an
put
idiot.
number 2 in parentheses on it on the next one.
I'm so sorry, babe. All right, fellas. Aaron, give me a nose on this one.
Oh, there's the honey.
How about that?
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's not the fake honey. Like, this is real deal.
Right.
What type of honey is it? Clover or is it?
Is it local?
It's so local to Louisville. It's a Louisville
Sweet.
honey. There's
So it's good for
a
you.
Colombian fellow that has a bunch of hives around the city that lets me buy a bunch of it from him. So yeah, it's a great honey. So what's interesting is honey gets darker through the seasons, through the season, and it's not because it's different bees. I had thought that it was different types of honey. It's basically the lighter flowers bloom earlier, so the bees get that nectar from those lighter ones, and as the season goes, the flowers that they're pollinating or pulling I'm not a scientist, pulling that pollen or the nectar or whatever they're getting, it continuously gets darker through the season. This honey is actually from the lighter side. It's the beginning of the season, so it's a lot lighter in color. If you get some of that honey, you'll see it's dark. That's because of the sitting in that barrel, getting all that char, getting all the colors from there. But it starts off as a much lighter.
Let me tell you,
honey.
That honey mixed with a little bit of butter on a bagel makes my day. It is amazing.
Well, here's the thing. You nose this, and you think that the taste is going to be like honey on toast, which is a wonderful thing. But
this bourbon is not.
no, it is not. No. It is much more subtle.
Really? I haven't put it in my mouth yet. So
I was really expecting this to be like an old-fashioned.
Right.
And it's
So the honey's there on the nose. It's not that much on the palate.
Agreed.
But you do get it on the finish.
is that
But
why
it's not overwhelming.
Is that why you proved it down to 100?
Yeah. You didn't really even get it on the finish when it was at 115. You just got that warm, cool feeling, but it felt too close to the regular 115. I wasn't gaining anything by doing the whole honey
rye
process.
Was probably
there wasn't any benefit to it. This has that cool effect and that honey flavor on the finish that I like. So there are other distilleries doing it. I'm definitely not the only one.
Oh, right.
I mean, Starlight, for example, does it in real honey. But there are ones that are out there that are not real honey, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
So look for one that's made with real honey, especially mine.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You were talking about
butter
and bagels. I just think I would take a biscuit and just eat the biscuit and drink this with it. I wouldn't need the butter and this is fantastic.
Right before work, you'd be all set, my friend.
Yes, I would. Those kids would not ever get on.
He's not a school teacher.
So you mentioned 21% rye. Do you consider that to be a typical bourbon rye level, or do you consider that a little high rye?
So I don't consider it a high rye personally.
Yeah.
That's my profile. That's what I like. That's what I've liked forever. MGP is a good example of somebody. I think they have a 21 and a 36. Yep. So very similar. I think it's a 70-21, 75-21-4. I'm at a 70-21-9. But similar profiles. There's, to me, it's a little more fruity than this does. But I like that general thing. I think the 36 is a high rye. It's got a lot more spice.
Agreed.
Great product. But with the series that I'm trying to do, it just doesn't meld as well, and with it being in Indiana and not giving me capabilities on their line, kind of stuck with Green River that way.
Still, 21 was enough that you needed to proof it down to get the taste you were looking for with this honey finish.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's fantastic. I love it. I think I'm going to give this to my sister for Christmas.
The open one?
I'm going to get you. What I'm going to get you to do is sign one to her, and then I'm going to open it. And then I'm gonna,
you just said you're giving Cammy's bottle to your sister for Christmas. Got it. That's great.
Oh man, I haven't even had that
It's
much
like
to drink
it says
yet.
Cammy on it.
No, wait. Moving on. So we're very close to finishing this bottle of Cabernet finish.
Man,
Looks like someone needs a refill.
I know. I looks like
Just
I'm going to be
saying.
buying 2 bottles next time.
Too much talking, not enough drinking.
Exactly. So Cabernet, how do you finish that? Just a similar process. You.
Kind of similar in that it's finished. The main difference is that we put the honey.
Shut up.
Hey, just saying, it's finished product. I mean, but no, the honey we do in house.
Yeah, right.
We put the honey in, let it sit there. We're turning the barrel and doing that process. If you don't turn the barrel, it'll actually just go through the wood. It'll eat through the wood and leak.
Right.
I thought honey was so benign.
No. So the Cabernet, though, on the other hand, we get from a winery in California, in Oxnard, California. It's called Shira Winery. They've won a whole bunch of awards. So they have some great wines, kosher wines, and we get those barrels in and fill them up with bourbon. We get them fresh. They dump them, ship them to us, and we fill them up. Those are actually 60-gallon barrels, so they're sitting a little bit empty. I wanted to still do single barrel, so I took just plain 53-gallon barrel, which at the 3 to 4 year marks probably got closer to 47 gallons in it. Put that into a 60. But those barrels, regular traditional barrel, I'm sure most of you have seen, has a wooden bung that's kind of smashed in there. Wine companies are using these silicone, which give a good seal, but if you turn them, they'll leak. So the top half of that barrel, the top quarter of that barrel, doesn't really see any interaction with the whiskey itself. So it's just sitting in that bottom side. We don't spin it. Sits there for 90 days. Then we proof that down to 98.
Okay.
So we spoke about the numerical values before. 98 is the equivalent of the word l'chaim, which is a cheers in Hebrew, which literally means to life. So we brought this one down to 98, and let's have a drink.
Let's have a drink. This sounds like it would be a great starter. Someone who maybe not is a big drinker. And you chose Cab because it's available in a kosher product, I assume. can you get a port or?
There are kosher ports. There are kosher sherries. Those are all available. I like so. Let's back up a second. So I put out the first bourbon, the 115, which we had first, straight bourbon whiskey, single barrel, which was my kind of preferred thing when just growing up when I hit 21, obviously. But growing up, like when I was getting into bourbon,
before.
The single barrels, higher proofs, that was kind of like what I went towards. So that's kind of what I wanted to release as the first product. Then when releasing other products, what I was trying to do is flavors that you pick out in bourbon, kind of push that flavor forward and kind of see what you can do. So those fresh fruit notes that you pull out of a bourbon is what I'm aiming for with that Cabernet finish. Those sweeter caramels, honey notes that you pick up is what I'm aiming for in that honey finish. We have the cinnamon finish we'll talk about soon, but going for those cinnamon baking spice notes in that. We've got other things coming soon. We'll see if we discuss that later in the podcast. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Notes sound better than the present. Let's go ahead and talk about it.
So I think I know why this bottle's almost empty.
Yeah.
Holy moly, man.
I love this one.
Yeah, the
This
nose on
is
this
my
is
favorite
great.
Bourbon Rabbi product.
Is it really?
I love it. Absolutely.
It's
love
my
it.
top 5.
1, 2, 3. Oh.
Math teacher over here. Cheers.
All right. Yeah, that is fantastic. That is really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got such a unique nose and that finish. Love it.
It's a little lighter, a little crisper to me. Man,
It's
I
not
wanted to show the color you get, but
sorry.
we need a left pressure bottle
It's
to
very
see
clear. It's translucent.
so
But
the-
yeah, when you do look at the bottle, just one of the cool things about the bottle is how much open space there is on the glass. So you get to see what color it actually is. It's not covered up by labels and influencing that color. So pick up a full bottle of the Cabernet finish, and you can see those dark red notes. It's a lot, almost like a ruby color.
Yeah.
When it's full.
Yeah, I can
No
tell you-
complaints. I'm happy it's getting empty because
the
means
first
the next
time
time I come, it'll be
Yeah, there'll
empty
be 2
again.
more bottles. So the original reason why I picked up a Bourbon Rabbi in the first place was because of the bottle. It's a unique bottle. I thought it was very cool looking. And I was at Casey Jones.
you feel hard.
I felt hard.
You feel hard.
I mean, we did a tasting, and they said at the end, they may want to try this Bourbon Rabbi. And it's like, well, we tried like 12 others.
I'm here already.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know about this. And she held this bottle up. It's like, oh. And then I tasted it. It was like, oh yeah, oh man. And I fell in love with it and took home.
How long
4
ago was that?
bottles. 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It was our very first episode we ever recorded.
Yep.
Oh wow.
And it was our second episode released, but our first one that we ever recorded.
And the next time I was going to Casey Jones, you said, "Oh, by the way, bring me back some
bring
bourbon
back
Rabbi."
some more of those.
And I may be wrong.
Shout
but
out Casey
weren't
Jones.
we-
Yeah.
I think
For sure.
Brian and Chuck were passing the mic back and forth. There were 2 mics
Yes.
at the time. And
Well, we had 4 mics and we had 6 people at the
that's what it
table.
was.
So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I remember watching that one.
yeah. So it was.
So I want to say something about these last 2. The honey finish. You think honey whiskey is like, okay, it's some crap whiskey and some crap flavoring, and
Somebody's covering something.
It's it's amateur drunk night. This honey finish is nothing like that at all. And with any kind of finish, I had a bad experience with some rum barrel finished bourbon that came out of Tennessee. That might be part of the problem. And it was just kind of like, oh gosh, man, this cab finished bourbon is so subtle.
Yeah.
It's you got to just try it.
I think
You got to try it.
I have to echo what Chuck is saying. The fact that people try to cover up bourbon with flavors or whiskey with flavors. There is no need to. The bourbon itself is great, but when you add good quality ingredients to your finished product, then it just enhances the bourbon that much more.
Yeah, some of these products out there are they're whiskey for people who don't like whiskey.
Right.
People who don't like bourbon.
So yeah, these are all still high proof Relatively, I mean, the lowest thing I've ever put out was 98. So yeah, relatively high proof products. All we're trying to do is push some of those flavors that you're already tasting and kind of bring those to the forefront.
Yeah.
I happen to be a cocktail guy. Is there a signature cocktail or a cocktail that you would suggest somebody make with the honey finished bourbon?
So as a cocktail guy who has a bar, I think maybe you're better qualified to suggest what might work best with those flavors.
You could do something with that,
There's
honey. I
something-
guarantee you.
Absolutely.
But I think there needs to be like a signature Bourbon Rabbi cocktail. I'm just not sure what it is yet.
We'll figure that out. Don't worry.
All right,
So-
I'll come see you.
So we're going to move on to two new products that we've never talked about. Never is a hard word, that we haven't tried here on the show. The first one's going to be cinnamon. And pay no attention to the fact that I just had a shot of double oaked. We're just going to edit that right out. This is your new cinnamon product, and
Yeah.
it is not that devil related fireball.
We're not even going to
cinnamon
mention.
crap.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
I'm sorry.
So-
He said it.
So let's get into cinnamon.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this. Somebody's a spice geek out there.
Yep.
The regular, if you go to like a Kroger, Publix, Ralph's, I don't know where you guys are watching this, regular spice aisle and pick up a cinnamon, that's not actually cinnamon. The majority of cinnamon labeled as cinnamon on the spice rack at any given grocery store is actually cassia. Cinnamon grows only in Sri Lanka and is a much different flavor profile than the cinnamon that most Americans know.
I've been lied to my whole life. by the
My mind's getting blown a little bit.
Boom. Right?
So you're telling me the cinnamon toast crunch that I almost ate this morning.
No, cinnamon toast crunch is the exception. No, so that cinnamon. So first of all, that cinnamon has nothing to do with actual cinnamon. But the cinnamon we use in this product is actual Sri Lankan cinnamon. It's the true cinnamon. So we take 100 cinnamon sticks, crack them in half. They come off of the tree. They're shredded off of the tree. A friend of mine, good friend, shout out Samara, his family has a spice farm in Sri Lanka. So they cut these specifically for this product. They're carved off of the tree. They're much thicker. The spiral on those cinnamon sticks is much wider. We crack them in half, throw them in the barrel. 100 cinnamon sticks go into here for 45 days. They sit in there, and the flavor from that cinnamon just sits and soaks. The whiskey soaks into them. They're pushing out that whiskey, and I mean, just off the nose, you just hit cinnamon straight off the top.
No doubt about that.
That's right.
No doubt. Right. You bring it to your nose, it's like, oh, that's a cinnamon whiskey. On the taste, though, nothing like the product he mentioned.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into that. It's still a high proof whiskey. It's a 98 proof. We're not trying to hide any flavors. We're not trying to push anything away. We're trying to just bring out those baking spices, cinnamon notes, clove, all of those types of notes. You get it in the nose, you get it in the palate, you get it in the finish. You got to try it.
If God made a bourbon flavored cookie, it would be this. It is amazing. And listen, I'm not a cinnamon guy, or at least I didn't think I was. Maybe I'm a real cinnamon guy, and I just don't like the fake crap.
Yeah.
Right.
But I kind of rolled my eyes when you first told me that you were going to do a cinnamon product, and I tasted it, and I
didn't notice. Don't worry about it.
It was kind of one of those moments when I was at your place, and it's like, okay, Brent, drink this, drink all of it, and move on. And this is just really good. I was so wrong. My bias and prejudice about a cinnamon whiskey was completely wrong.
Most cinnamon whiskeys, and there are lots of places that
Yeah.
do cinnamon whiskey other than the
Yeah,
one we're not
absolutely.
going to talk about. But almost all of them, when you bring the whiskey to your tongue, it kind of burns a little bit, like it's hot, like a cinnamon. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a cinnamon candy. There is no, zero, zilch, none burn with this cinnamon.
None.
Because it's the
Again,
real
it's
deal.
subtle.
know?
It's the right amount.
It just sits
And
on
it's
your
at
tongue.
the right place.
You smell it and you think automatically. You think grandma's house, Christmas. The potpourri that used to be all over there. But
okay.
oh, sorry, wrong one.
Holiday season.
Wrong holiday season.
Peggy and I reviewed the 115 for American Whiskey Magazine, and her first tasting note was bacon. It is what it is.
I mean, you're a talented guy. I don't know.
No comment.
Sorry,
Chuck, what do you think about the cinnamon?
It on the nose, it's just like fake cinnamon. Thanks. I'm so disillusioned. I've got to add 100 cinnamon sticks. Now, are these like
9-inch cinnamon sticks? What's 9 inches, right?
so? I mean, did you start with
will,
5?
no
Or
comment.
then you did you jump? I mean, that seems like
No, we're going to do 100, and then we'll taste it in a month and see what happens.
okay.
We tasted in a month, and at that point, it was still at barrel strength. And this is put out at 98. So we tasted it. We're like, I think it needs a little more time. We're going to leave it, see what happens. What's actually interesting we didn't mention is this is actually a honey cinnamon. So we do the same process that we do for the honey barrels, but then when we fill it with the whiskey, we also put in the cinnamon at that time.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's got a little bit of that sweetness, and we didn't want it to be just overpowering, just boom, cinnamon in your face.
Hence the reason
so we
why it
wanted
doesn't
some of
burn.
that honey in there, and we obviously did not want to put it out at a low proof. We wanted to have the whiskey flavors. We wanted to have that finish. We wanted to have all of that and extenuate the cinnamon flavor in it. And I think we nailed it.
No,
You
I don't
absolutely
think,
did.
I know you nailed it,
And,
and that absolutely went to my favorite. That's my favorite product.
That's your favorite now?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I bought this
It's a
for
little cheaper, so hey, you
Dr.
save yourself some money.
I bought this for Dr. Gentastic, and I better drink some now because I don't think there's going to be any left here pretty soon. It's she's going to love this.
Did Chaim sign that bottle for her? Oh wait, sorry.
Maybe or maybe
He signed
not.
the bottle.
We can't
I'm
confirm
going to
or
scribble
deny.
in, Jen.
No, as subtle as the honey is, this is unmistakably a cinnamon whiskey.
Yes, yes.
So we tasted this at 7 days, and it had a little bit of notes, a little bit of some of those cinnamon flavors, and I was talking to my guys, and I'm like, hey, you can tell it's cinnamon. It's got that profile. Like, you think it's ready? And we thought, like, let's pull that cinnamon all the way out. Let them know off the nose, off the palate, off the finish. You should know it's cinnamon all the way through. Pull that out, but we got to pull it before that cinnamon takes over the whiskey. And that's what we got here at 98 proof.
So you said you polled your guys. How would one get to be your guy?
Your beer needs to be a little bit longer. It's coming in. It's happening. It's coming in. It's coming in. But yeah, a bunch of rabbis sit around a table and make decisions.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Shout out to my boys.
So let me ask you a little bit of a technical question, and it probably doesn't matter, but what time of year? What was the temperature outside when this was going on? Was
So
it
we've only
cold?
done
Was
one
it
barrel
hot?
of cinnamon, and it was this time of year last year when we started.
Late summer,
a
early
little
fall.
bit later. It was actually November, December. I don't remember exactly when
So
it
you
was,
probably
but it was
had-
about November. I think it was mid-November when we filled them with the cinnamon, and we actually did another one. We started the aging process for the second barrel of it about 2 months ago. So we'll see if there's a difference in that, if that
Yeah.
makes a big difference in it. But we're waiting it out. Though we're gonna taste that this week. See what happens.
Yeah, very cool. We'll be there on Thursday.
I was going to say, what day are we tasting this one?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. This is my favorite bourbon of 2024. We've had some really good ones. We loved the Russell 13 year that we tried a few episodes ago. What are some of the Bookers were great. By the way, I have in my possession a Booker's 2017 1 that was found on a boat that will no longer be ours before too long. And I can't wait to share it with you guys.
I can't wait for you to share it with me either.
But this one is by far and away my favorite of anything I've had recently. It is so complex. So many. I mean, you get the caramel. You get, at least I get, leather and wood and a little spice, and it's just all there. It hits all the senses to me. Now, you told me a story about staves on this one. I don't know if it's true or not.
On the finished barrel.
On the finished barrel. Would you like to share a little bit about this product? It's a double oaked, right?
So we go. So this is the highest proof we've released. This is actually a 6-year, 125 proof. It looks very similar to the 115, but this is a 125 6-year, same mash bill. So all of these products are all the same mash bill, same 70-21-9, all Green River. This one is the oldest. We picked from the oldest barrels we had. We tasted a couple of them and decided that this is the one that needed to get double oaked. It had real good flavors, real good nose, and we hoped we would improve it, and I think we did. The barrel we got, so we actually custom ordered a barrel from Canton Cooperage here in Kentucky, and so that barrel's got toasted heads. It's got I don't even know what the word is for it. Some of the staves in it are carved out to give it more surface ratio. Right?
Yep.
So when aging a barrel, here's a tidbit. When aging a barrel, there's two main things we're looking for. Surface contact ratio. So the more whiskey touching the more wood, the better. Right. Because when it goes in the barrel, obviously it's clear. It's just distillate. Comes out colored. When the other thing we're looking for is that expansion and contraction of the wood. It's pulling that whiskey in, pushing it out throughout the days, weeks, months, years, throughout the entire aging process. So if you have a higher char, so you're going to get more surface ratio because that they call alligator char, where those pieces of crevices? Those cracks and crevices, it's going in, it's getting both sides of that. Right. So it's getting a lot more surface ratio. If you carve out lines out of that stave, so you're getting in and out, in and out, in and out, all the way through that stave. So there's a lot more surface ratio for that alcohol to, or all that distillate to interact with. So we have half of the staves are carved out like that. We've got 2 and 3 char. We've got heads and tails toasted. So all different types of complexities in there, pulling all these different flavors, and put that 6-year 125 proof whiskey in there.
And you can absolutely tell.
Aaron, give me a nose on this one.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's good.
This is crazy. Like marshmallow, like
okay, toasted marshmallow,
yeah. Like s'mores.
I get a little citrus with that.
Oh,
do you get any of that? Or am I the only one?
I'm not getting citrus.
No,
I am getting toasted marshmallow. So what's interesting is you're getting like a toasted finish type of deal.
Yeah,
but you're also getting a double oak.
Yeah,
it's kind of got a whole bunch of things going on. It's like a super complex nose.
Like, yes.
Chuck, tell me what you taste. I'm sorry to have to ask you to drink some more whiskey.
We apologize.
It is a burden.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, so this is still a straight bourbon. It's not considered a finished bourbon. It goes into a second brand new cask. So that's
and for how long?
So this one actually sat in there for, I can check on my phone, but I believe it was 37 days that it sat in that second barrel.
Okay.
We're going to pull up the actual data live.
Wow.
Do you get a complex taste there,
Oh,
Aaron?
yes.
You get leather and wood and caramel.
Everything. All of the... I mean, there's something like a dryness on the back of my palate right now that...
Yeah.
It's
37 days.
Yeah, 37 days. Such a math geek.
Wow. This product's still available on your website?
This is available. The only place it's available is here and shop.bourbonrabbi.com.
Don't show up at my house.
So, I think I've said this about everyone.
This is your favorite.
This is my favorite, my new favorite Bourbon Rabbi product. I mean, this is
my favorite.
I understand
bourbon,
why it's one of your
period right
top
now.
right now.
And Tom was so kind to bring me another bottle today.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they have another one.
Where is it sitting?
It's in the safe.
It may or may not be this one.
It may or may not be that one. I'll just
That is my open one that I brought back from Shelbyville. But man, so good. So good.
This is my favorite product too. I brought some back from Shelbyville. It didn't last very long. I mean, there's a little bit left, but it got spanked pretty good. The missus likes it a lot.
It's always a good thing.
It is.
If Donna Stennett likes it, you know it's going to be good bourbon.
absolutely.
So yeah, this is the oldest and highest proof that I've released. So
This is the Brent Bridges Christmas gift. If you're a good boy and girl and you're on Brent's Christmas list, you can expect this.
you'll know if you're a good boy or girl or not if you get one of these.
Yeah.
So this is 125 proof.
Yep.
By law, the highest proof that new distillate can go into a barrel is
125.
So did you actually have to proof this down to get it to 125? Did it actually come out
So
of the
this
barrel?
actually went in at the standards, same as all the other ones. These ones normally come out of the barrel at closer to about 118, 119.
Okay.
And then we proof down. So here's a little tidbit. So the 115, we wanted to print a bunch of labels. To print labels at volume without having to come in afterwards and write the number down, which my guys, Joe,
The boys
this
don't
was
want
for
to do
you.
that.
Yeah, bearded
Right?
guy.
I didn't want to have to make them the guys write down every single bottle what the proof is. So we wanted to print bulk labels, but we wanted to still obviously be a quality, high-end product. So we had to put it out at a high proof, which is just what I liked, and I hope everybody else likes. If you like a lower proof, put in a cube, add a little bit of water.
Right.
Easy.
But if you put out a 90 and people like the 100, 115,
Hard to do.
yeah, hard to do. So we had to put a number on it and print those labels. So we did a 115. It was a meaningful number. I thought it was a good number to do. So we did that at the 115.
Back to the 125.
This came out at 125, and
It came out of the barrel at 125.
Yes,
It went in and came out.
We did not proof it actually between barrel A and the fresh barrel that it went into. When we pulled it, it was 125, and we're like, yeah, we're not messing with this. This is too good to mess with.
Yeah, good-
so we
good
put it
idea.
out at 115. I didn't have a cute little word that it fit with. I'm like, let's just go with that. This tastes good.
What is the number
Let's just-
for Brent
Yeah.
in Hebrew? That would be what I would probably put
So
on
Brent would be spelled Bet, which is the second letter, so 2. Second letter would be Reish, which is worth 200.
Yeah.
Then Nun, which is worth 50. So now we're at 252. And then the last letter would be the T letter. There's actually 2 letters that it could be either 9 or 400. So we need some linguistics here to weigh in. There's 2 different letters.
We're either talking about my weight or my IQ. I'm not sure.
But it'd probably be the Tet, which would be the 400. So 4, 2, 50, and 2. So 652
Yeah.
would be the equivalent. So if you can find an alcohol, that is 652 proof.
Or
I mean, you're the math teacher. I don't know how to make that happen.
65.2, and we're okay.
65.2.
Oh, there
You're
you
real
go.
close right here.
Yeah.
That's right. There we go.
So there you have it. You've heard news right here that the Brent whiskey will be available online at Bourbon Rabbi. Give us your website one more time.
Shop.bourbonrabbi.com.
Perfect. You have new and exciting things coming out soon. Some we can't talk about. I can't wait until the day when you can announce those things. What can you tell us?
We'll be back here to discuss them, so hit that subscribe button.
There you go. Thank you very much.
What I can't talk about is the next in the series of flavored whiskeys, where we're trying to just push out some of those flavors that you're already tasting and kind of highlight those. We have a cacao flavored bourbon where we
baby.
age cacao nibs in the barrel
Look at that.
for 90 days. Those are aging now. Oh, they're actually finished aging. We filled the barrel with whiskey after we've pulled that cacao out, and we're going to start tasting that in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And so I'll see you at my place.
Absolutely.
And as soon as we think it's ready, that will.
So are these just beans or are these crushed? What did you do to these?
So the cacao, the way that cocoa grows, it doesn't grow as a powder like you buy in the grocery store.
What?
It grows. Newsflash, right?
With a lid that you can't possibly open?
So it actually grows in a giant pod that's almost 10 or 12 inches wide. If you crack that open, it's white and sticky. If you pull that kind of goo apart, you'll find seeds or beans. To make cocoa, those get heated up and roasted into it turns in from like a soft, fleshy material into like a hard bean, and those are ground up to turn into cocoa powder. You can grind that with other oils and sugars to make chocolate. But the actual cacao bean after it's roasted, is like a hard bean. It looks like an almond. Mm-hmm. It's got a soft shell on it. You got to peel those shells off and put the rest of it, which is the actual cacao, into the barrel. So we do about 2.5 pounds of it. Sits in there. It's volume wise. It sits with water so that it will soak into the wood. It's probably 2.5 gallons worth. Sits in there, spinning those barrels, and that just soaks into the wood. Soaks out, push in, push out. Yeah. Gives that barrel that cocoa flavor, and then we put that whiskey in it. We're gonna see what happens.
Have you tested that yet?
2 weeks.
So
2 weeks.
So we've done it. We've done it in a small. We took a 150 ml bottle, filled it with cacao nibs, filled it with whiskey, tasted it after a couple weeks, and it was amazing.
Of course it was.
Now we're going to try to see what happens when you gamble a full barrel on it, and see if that's amazing too.
At scale.
Now, if you see that on shop.bourbonrabbi.com, you'll know it was a success. And if you don't hear about it again,
it'll be at Brent's house over in the corner.
Speaking of bourbon just showing up at Brent's house, we're part of a bourbon group that does some private labeling stuff. And talk about your private labeling.
So yeah, at the distillery we do a lot of private labeling.
Yeah, while you talk about that, I'm going to enjoy another one of these.
Right now we're actually recently at it, and all of it. We're at a tasting a couple of weeks ago where we picked it was a Jim Beam Knob Creek barrel that was chosen for a private label for an event. It's actually getting shipped in a couple of weeks out to.
So that's what was chosen finally.
Yeah.
So we had the actual barrel. We tasted through 5 different barrels. We tasted through barrels from Luxro, Green River, Jim Beam, MGP, and Bardstown Bourbon Company. Mm-hmm. Jim Beam won out, and
it was the favorite at the tasting.
It was the favorite at the tasting. It was the most expensive, and it was still chosen.
Good.
Went back and forth on that a little bit, but they wanted the best one that everybody decided was the best.
Good for them.
It was a little over 120. It was like 126 and change proof. Absolutely delicious bourbon. And that got bottled up, private label, and it's got to go through the 3-tier system. It's going to end up in Phoenix,
I sure
Arizona.
hope I get a bottle. That would be a very nice Christmas gift.
In case you're watching, Kevin,
Right.
I actually helped pick that, so I just want you to know that.
Just saying.
Yeah, I advocated for the Jim.
Actually,
Jim.
Don't worry, I already have one.
Chuck said the opposite. Chuck wanted the Green River. I just wanted that to be on the air. I wanted the Knob Creek. You can leave Chuck's bottle.
We're going to give Aaron a little credit here. At the end of the tasting, we tasted through 5 barrels.
Don't give him any
We
credit.
pulled him. No, he deserves this. This is actually pretty cool. So we tasted through 5 barrels. We thieved the barrels. We knew what they were when we were tasting them. We proofed them all on site. Then we went outside and we took all 5 of those barrels and brought them outside. And Aaron nailed every single one of them. He knew what it was, what the proof was, with no notes, without seeing those barrels.
He's very annoying
Kudos
that
to
way.
you. Your palate is amazing.
Well, thank you.
He's going to be impossible
Very
to live
impressive.
with.
I know, right? Exactly.
See, Heather, I am worth something.
I I think it was the Zaxby's that we had that day that threw me off.
Yes.
I don't know anything about that.
That was impressive.
It's a fun day.
Listen, these are always on my favorite list. I'm so happy that you're here today. Thank you so much. Every one of these I can recommend. I like all of them.
Yeah, what's I'm looking just to my right.
Yeah.
There's 5 or 6 empty bourbon
Pull
Rabbi.
those bottles out, would you?
Right.
Just set them out on the table. It'll be fine.
So also,
if you don't know,
look close on top around here, we've got
Yeah.
a whole bunch of empty bottles and spliced throughout a bunch of the.
I don't
bourbon
know what
Rabbi
happened to all
bottles,
these bottles, but
we
anyway,
can't
they came
confirm
in
or
empty.
deny whether or not Brent finished them on his own, but they're here and they're empty.
Well, thank you again so much. Get online, shop.bourbonrabbi.com. Is that correct?
That's right.
And order yours and order all 5 of them because they're absolutely worth it. And who knows how long they're going to be available. And you'll get a free, amazing honey with every purchase that you have online.
If you order by October the
10th,
Yeah,
2024.
perfect.
maybe even 11th. We'll throw it in just for the podcast.
So you and I were speaking before we started the podcast. The Jewish New Year is coming up. Will you remind me of what the tradition is?
That's right. So the Jewish New Year starts this week. I don't know when is this going out. I don't know
Probably
yet.
tomorrow.
So tomorrow night starts Wednesday night this year. On the Jewish calendar, it's the 1st and 2nd. On the secular calendar, it changes every year. But there's a tradition to dip apples in honey. Apples are sweet. Honey is sweet. We want to have a sweet New Year. The difference, though, between the apple and the honey is the apples are all sweet. Honey comes from a bee, which stings.
Yes.
So we want to take the sweetness, even if something appears to be a sting, appears to be a blemish, something bad. We want to overlook that. We want to just take in all that sweetness, bring in the new year just with happiness, sweetness, and have a pleasant year forward, especially with what's happening in Israel today, specifically, and obviously the last year. I actually want to say thank you to Brent. Almost immediately after what happened on October 7th, the first person that reached out to me was Brent. Very, very meaningful. And that was almost a year ago now. So in, 2 weeks, it'll be a year? A little less. Today's the first. In 7 days, it'll be a year. Brent reached out immediately. Very, very meaningful. I do really appreciate that.
Absolutely, my friend.
And with what's happening now, a year later, still in all this turmoil, we want to look for those sweet moments. We want to be happy, be with friends, just having a good time. My sister right now is in a bunker with Iran showering down missiles. So l'chaim to them. God bless everybody. We should all have a happy, sweet New Year with only sweetness, revealed sweetness, not just like the bee, which could appear as bee with a stinger, something that could be rough and harsh, something we don't want to interact with. But you eventually see that honey and see that sweetness. We want to only see the sweetness. So cheers to that. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
God bless you all.
And with that said, please drink responsibly.
L'chaim responsibly.